Welcome to your Tutor Online video lessons. Today we'll learn how to graph linear inequalities. A linear inequality is an equation for a line. That means that it will have two variables and it has a less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to sign instead of the equal sign. Here we have an example: 2x minus 3y is less than 6. For the most part, we're just going to pretend that this less than sign is an equal sign to solve the equation in the slope-intercept form. The only exception is if we multiply or divide by a negative number. When that happens, flip the sign so that it points in the other direction. To understand why we need to flip the sign, let's look at this very simple example. 3 is less than 5, which is true. Now let's multiply everything by -1. In a normal equation this would be fine. As long as you do something to one side that you do to the other, you should maintain the equation. But here we'll get -3 is less than -5, which is not true. -5 is less than -3. So to account for that, instead we're going to flip the sign whenever we multiply or divide by a negative. -3 is greater than -5, which is true. Alright, let's go back to our example and put it into slope-intercept form. We're going to subtract 2x from both sides. That leaves us with -3y is less than -2x plus 6. Now we divide by -3 and we're left with y on this side. We need to flip our sign since we're dividing by a negative number, so now it's greater than. -2 divided by -3 is positive 2/3 x, and 6 divided by -3 is -2. Now that the equation is in slope-intercept form, graph it as you normally would. I'm going to start at the y-axis. -2 for the intercept is here. Then we're going to follow our slope up 2/3. And we'll do that one more time, up 2/3. Now before we connect the dots, we need to go back and look at the equation. Graphing here is slightly different than a normal line. If the inequality has a less than or greater than sign, we'll use the dashed line. If it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, we'll use a solid line. If equal is in the name of the symbol, then use a normal line. For example, it's greater than, so we use the dashed line. We're going to use a dashed line because the points on this line are not included in the equation. There's one extra thing we need to do when graphing inequalities. We have to shade on one side of the line. To figure out which one, pick any point that is not on the line. I always use the point 0, 0 when I can because it's the easiest to work with. Remember that in ordered pairs, the first number is x and the second number is y. We're going to take those two numbers and plug them into our inequality. 0 is greater than 0 times 2/3 x is 0, -2. 0 is greater than -2. If that statement is true, then we'll shade on the side of the line that contains the point we tested for. If it's false, we'll shade on the opposite side. So 0 is greater than -2 is true, so we'll shade on this side of the dotted line. And that's all there is to graphing inequalities. I hope you found this lesson useful. If you have any questions, leave a comment on the blog at www.yourtutoronline.com. If you have any lesson suggestions, send an email to podcast@yourtutoronline.com. Thanks for watching. Class dismissed.